What is going on, regulars? And today I'm going to bring you what is hopefully going to turn into another new regular feature, pun slightly intended, regular. In addition to doing the book reviews that I've started doing on this channel as part of the BookTube community, which I'm planning to do more BookTube related stuff very soon, I thought I would also, since I have, probably about a metric ton of movies, I would start doing movie reviews as well. So this is going to be my first foray into that, and we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to call this new feature Friday Flicks, because it's going to be reviewing movies, which are often called flicks, and I'm hoping to post most of them on Friday. So, yeah, I'm good at names. So, since it's October, I figured I would focus more on spooky and horror-related film titles, just because, it seemed appropriate. Let's get started. And for the first episode of Friday Flicks, I figured I would go with one of my favorites. I've liked it since I first saw it, which was probably sometime back in like the very late 80s or early 90s. Probably more like the early 90s, because the movie came out in 1987, and I know I didn't watch it for the first couple years it came out. It wasn't until it was on home video that I got a chance to see it. But that is The Monster Squad. And I'm just going to let Yoda hold on to that while we talk. There we go. So this was a movie that I absolutely loved growing up. I was a huge fan of the Goonies. So when I found out that there was essentially a Goonies about monster hunters and fighters, I was immediately on board. I saw the box, read the back, and was like, what? So immediately grabbed it, took it home, watched it, loved it ever since. The basic story behind The Monster Squad is it is a group of kids who find out that the classic Universal monsters are not only real, but are pretty much in their town trying to destroy the world. I think the backstory there is Dracula has a chance to bring about 1,000 years of darkness or something to that effect. And since these kids are the only ones that A, believe in monsters, and B, know that they're around, are the ones that have to fight them off. The movie is directed by Fred Decker, who's best known for another cultish horror movie called Night of the Creeps. If you haven't watched that, I definitely recommend it. And he also wrote the story for the movie House, which, if you haven't seen that is a very, very quirky horror movie. It plays more to the horror comedy, because there's a lot of humor involved in that. It's about a guy who pretty much is in a haunted house, but it goes well beyond that. But I'm getting off track because we're talking about The Monster Squad. Night of the Creeps and House are two movies involving Fred Decker, who also was a co-writer and director of The Monster Squad. I highly recommend both. The other writer is a name you may be familiar with. That would be Shane Black. And this is actually one of the few Shane Black movies that doesn't actually definitively take place during Christmas. I'm not entirely sure what his fascination with Christmas is, but it's in most of the movies that he does. Lethal Weapon? Christmas. The Long Kiss Goodnight? Christmas. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang? Christmas. Iron Man 3? Christmas. Not to say that Shane isn't an amazing filmmaker and writer, but dude, what is your fascination with Christmas? I have to know. What I really love about The Monster Squad is that it kind of pays tribute to the Universal monsters that are a part of the movie. Of course, you've got Dracula, and while they tried to make him their own, you can see elements of the classic Universal portrayals. And then even adding the Frankenstein monster, there's even the connection between Dracula and the monster that has run its course through some of the later Universal films. Even the fact that Dracula knows how to revive the monster after he's been, sleeping in stasis for a while. Then they even throw in a mummy. Not necessarily the mummy, but there's a mummy that escapes from the museum the same time all this is going on, probably awakened by Dracula and his doings. Also, there is a Gillman, which is the creature featured in Creature from the Black Lagoon, and a Wolfman, of course, from the Wolfman. The only classic Universal monster that doesn't actually feature in the Monster Squad is the Invisible Man. I mean, technically he could be there, and nobody would know. Also, because it's Shane Black and Fred Dekker who do add a lot of humor to their movies, this is no exception. Early on, two of the main characters are discussing the Wolfman. They get on the topic of why he had to wear pants. And of course, it goes back into, you know, the Hollywood system of the 40s when these movies were being made and how they had to, you know, cover him up. Like, you know, it's pretty much the same as the Hulk discussion. It's like, how do his pants stay on? It's like, well, because they can't show, you know, his stuff. But the way they word it is what really makes it in Monster Squad, because as they're discussing it, one of the kids says, well, yeah, they, you know, it was back in the day. They couldn't show his wolf dork. Wolf dork. One of the great things about this movie is the one-liners that keep showing up. Creature ate my Twinkie. Monsters hate religious stuff. See you later, Band-Aid breath. Meeting adjourned. And then the treehouse explodes in the background. My name is Horace. Wolfman's got nards. The thing about Monster Squad that I really love is just that it's fun, it's silly, it's exactly what you would expect from a premise of a bunch of kids fighting monsters. But overall, Monster Squad is one of those just like great fun movies that, you know, regardless of whether you're a horror fan or not, like, you probably enjoy it. These kids study these monsters and study the Hollywood stories. They have this kind of encyclopedic knowledge of what these monsters' weaknesses are. So that's why they decide when the monsters actually show up that they're the ones that have to do it. It's like, we're the only ones who know anything about these guys, and the parents aren't going to believe us anyway, so let's go! But I think at this point I've talked enough about this movie, and I could probably go on just rambling for an hour, and I'm not going to put you guys through that. So I'm going to go ahead and end things here. Again, this has been my first attempt at a Friday Flicks video, so please let me know what you think. If you've seen Monster Squad, let me know what you thought of it. We can start a discussion on Monster Squad down in the regular spot if you would like. Just let me know your thoughts on it, if you enjoyed it, if you didn't, why you did or didn't. Let me know what other movies you might want to see me talk about. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me this week. So, as always, I hope you're all well, and I will see you next time. Anyway, so since it's October, I figured I would... Blah, 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 blah. All right, here we go. Tasty.